Welcome to country. I don't need to be welcomed into my own country. You might have heard that sentiment recently, especially around big national events here in Australia. It's a comment that really highlights how our own understanding, or sometimes our plain lack of it, on a complex issue can get passed straight to our kids, shaping how they see things. I even had a moment recently where I had to gently educate my own brother on the difference between a welcome to country and an acknowledgement of country. Now, this isn't just about big societal topics. It got me really thinking, what ideas are we as parents sharing at home that need a bit of a fact check or a heart check first? It's so important that the opinions we voice, especially when our teens are listening, are well informed. Otherwise, we're just adding to the chaos. It's about consciously looking at our own beliefs and asking, where did this actually come from, before we make it our kids' reality too. I'm Narelle and this is Talking Teens. Today on Talking Teens, we're tackling a specific and sometimes tricky part of this, how we as parents talk about teachers and school when we're at home. Because those private chats, they have very public consequences for our teenagers. Over my 20 years in the classroom, I've seen it all. Take what I call the looks and youth ledger. It's often our younger educators, our younger teachers, particularly young women, who get hit with this. I've seen talented educators deeply upset, even in tears, after a parent made some offhand, inappropriate comment. Things like, well, you're certainly a distraction for my son. Or looking them up and down and saying, you seem awfully young to know so much about this stuff. Comments like that, often just based on assumptions, can really knock the stuffing out of a new teacher, making them doubt their career, their authority, everything. They're often working so hard already, finding their feet in the job, and then they face these kinds of sexist or dismissive remarks. It's just one of the reasons many good young teachers leave the profession. Then there's the dynamic of teacher intimidation, especially when it comes to student behaviour. Imagine this in your mind's eye. A teacher reaches out to a parent, hoping to partner with them about their child's tricky behaviour in class. And sometimes the parent goes straight into defence mode, siding with their child, no questions asked. They might say the teacher's style is wrong, or they can't even manage the class, basically pulling all the responsibility on the teacher and none on the child. Instead of a conversation about how can we work together here, it becomes the blame game. It becomes the finger pointing game. It becomes parents saying to teachers, you're not doing enough for my child. For teachers doing their absolute best, that's not just frustrating. It's downright offensive. And then there's the one that even I, as a math teacher and a parent, have to consciously watch out for. Undermining content or competence. When my own kids come home talking about their maths lessons and I hear something that makes my teacher brain go, hang on a minute, that instinct for me to jump in is so strong. I've literally had to bite my tongue or take a deep breath to stop myself from saying something that might make my kids lose a bit of confidence in their own teacher. The thing is, I'm aware of that dynamic and I try to correct my course and backtrack if I slip up. But for many parents, that awareness is not there. And the subtle, or not so subtle, undermining just keeps happening. And that's where the real problem lies for teachers and for our kids. So why is this such a big deal? Well, there are ripple effects. For the teenager, they often disengage from the teacher, from the subject, from school as a whole. They might stop trying in class, their attendance might drop, and they can end up with that poorly behaved label. Or on the flip side, if you've got an intelligent, motivated kid, they might just switch off from their teacher, thinking they don't need them. They know better because of what they've heard at home, leading to a kind of arrogant disinterest in class. They can believe they don't need assistance from the teacher, so they turn up and do the work independently, but don't engage with the human social aspects of the classroom or the schoolyard environment. Either way, their own learning is hampered. For the teacher, it's tough. There's that silent effect where a teacher might, without fully realising it, pull back a bit, offer less support to a student when they feel their efforts are being constantly disrespected or unappreciated by a family. And then there's the straightforward emotional cost, the stress, the anxiety before certain classes or even parent meetings, feeling undervalued. It adds a huge layer of stress to an already challenging job. And for the parent-teacher relationship, it can completely fracture. Trust can disappear. Teachers might become more guarded, perhaps slower to respond to communications from parents they anticipate will be difficult. They might even ask for leadership to be present in meetings simply because they feel vulnerable or are worried about their interaction. That vital partnership we want, it's completely gone. And a little insider reality check. If you ever notice school leaders consistently hanging around near your parent-teacher interviews, it might be a sign that past interactions have put you on a sort of watch list, and that's not a good place for anyone to be. Okay, these are serious outcomes. So what's the shift? How can we as parents do better? First, as I've said before, it's about fostering that partnership mindset with teachers. If you have a genuine concern, aim for a candid, respectful, human conversation. Ask for their professional take, their advice, and their help. Go in with the attitude of, how can we both work together to help my child? That simple question, what can I do at home to support what you're doing in the classroom to support my child? It's a real game changer. Maybe have a try. Secondly, flip the script on those daily school chats. Instead of the old, how was school today? That gets you absolutely nowhere. Try something different. Try asking, what made you laugh today? Or tell me something interesting a teacher shared or something kind someone did. It actually opens up a whole new kind of conversation, and it really focuses on connection. And when we make these shifts, when we partner with teachers and have more mindful, positive conversations about school at home, we're helping to create that supportive climate of learning that Sir Ken Robinson often talked about. We're building the conditions where our teens can genuinely engage their curiosity and start to discover their own unique potential at school. So the main thought for today, remember what your teen hears you say about their teachers and their school literally becomes the soundtrack to their education. And your words at home are powerful architects. They're either building bridges of trust and respect for your teen's journey, or they're unintentionally creating walls. Let's consciously choose to make that soundtrack positive and keep building those bridges. Next time on Talking Teens, we'll listen a bit closer to the voices from our past. Join me as we explore how to identify and maybe retune our educational echoes, those experiences from our own school days that can still powerfully and sometimes unhelpfully influence how we talk with our teens about their education today. Until then, remember that focus, connection over correction. This has been Narelle, and you're listening to Talking Teens.